who's got the darkest material.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I could. I think I couldn't do it because I'm the funniest. not for another 25 years, but still the darkest. Yeah, I think I could.
You could get the most cringes, maybe.
Totally. Shock value. I am was that Howard Stern? No, the guy with the Sirius radio. That's a shock jock. Yeah, Howard
Stern.
Yeah, I'm him of dark comedy, dark bad comedy. That's me.
Oh wow.
I could go dark. Anyway, Comic Spot. Hi, we're here again. Yeah, and look who I got here. I got a national, international touring headliner, veteran of the military. Yeah, the guy in the other square. This one over here in this square is a woman. I go by she. Always have. I always will. But anyway, the main purpose of Comic Spot is to bring you guys legends. Why? So you can get to know them, what they're like off stage. And then you go, wait a minute. I remember that guy in the blue shirt inside the car on the side of the freeway. I want to go hear him because he's going to be in my town. That's why we do this. So let me read you the intro of Erik Knowles, today's super guest. Yep, I said super guest. Erik Knowles has done 4 tours in the Middle East, 2 tours as an active duty Marine. Now he's tough. And 2 tours as a stand-up comedian entertaining our troops. He is the 2016 champion of the World Series of Comedy. He's a father, a mentor, a laugh therapist, and a good-looking son of a gun. Welcome to the stage on Little Tiny Comic Spot, brought to you by AHA Broadway in New York City, where veterans get $10 a session training in comedy, improv, and acting. Welcome to the stage, Erik Knowles. Woo!
Wow, that was great.
Thank you. That's the best part. Should we go now?
Sure, yeah. Thank you, guys. Good night. I'm out of here.
Erik, what city are you in today?
I'm in Evadale, Texas.
There's so many cities in Texas. What is that about?
Yeah, well, there's just a lot of room. There's nothing else to do with it but make little towns, I guess.
So
this town is a paper mill town, so it smells like a skunk farted here all the time, every day of the year. And property is very affordable in Evadale. If you don't mind the smell, we call it evil smell instead of Evadale, like our old joke.
Oh my gosh. So how far do you live from Evadale?
I just stopped here. This is about halfway, but home from work.
Okay.
So this is, like halfway through my commute.
Super. Your camera got turned off. Not that I don't like the picture it froze you in, but
okay, let's see what I can do about
took
that.
your live thing and said, yeah, we're gonna freeze you up. But as long as we hear you, I'm okay with it.
All right. Do I need to hit stop video and start it again?
You can try it and see if it works.
Okay. Everywhere we. What in the world? Oh, sorry. That was.
That's okay.
Else.
We'd be jamming.
Start video. Failed to start the video camera. Ensure that no other apps are using the camera. Okay. Technical difficulties. No other apps should be using the camera.
Huh. That's weird. It usually gives me a red microphone or a red camcorder, and it doesn't right now. Oh well, let's just go.
My album cover. High and Tight with Erik Knowles.
I just clicked add to start video, but it's not working. So we can just talk.
Okay.
So Erik, where did you grow up? I want to go back to when you were a little kid. I want to pretend I'm going through school with you.
Okay. When I was a little kid, I grew up in Beaumont, Texas, which is a fairly big city in Southeast Texas. I grew up in the south end of Beaumont. I grew up in a black neighborhood where I was
Wow.
the only white kid. As a matter of fact, that was my name back then. Nobody even called me Eric. They just called me the white kid for a long time. And that was in the 80s. It was one of some of the best years of my life. It was the early to mid 80s, growing up in a black neighborhood. Like I remember like I would sit on my front porch and just watch the neighborhood people walking by, and they'd be like, "Hey, white kid, what's up?" And like I saw breakdance challenges happen right in front of my house quite often, where
Wow.
like two guys would pass each other, both carrying those big boom boxes from the 80s on their shoulders, and under their arm, somebody always had like a big piece of cardboard, and they would throw the cardboard down on the ground and challenge each other and just start breakdancing and doing these head spins and stuff.
Wow.
And I would be in my front yard just dancing along, like trying to copy their moves.
Oh my gosh. So in school,
My dad became a fighter.
you're hilariously, creatively, uniquely funny and hilarious. Have you always had a far different sense of humor than everybody else way back when you were a little kid growing up?
Yeah, good question. Actually, yeah, I remember going into the third grade. I remember the first day of third grade, my second grade teacher walked into the classroom to warn the teacher about me. And I remember she shook her finger at me. She was not happy, but she shook her finger like right in my face and said, "Watch out for this one. He's a little comedian." And that was the first time I'd ever heard that word comedian. And I thought my feelings were hurt. I didn't know what it meant. I thought it meant like I was a jerk, or I was a dumb kid. I was like, "I'm not a comedian. You're a comedian." But yeah, that's and then I went home and I asked, "What is a comedian?" My mom kind of explained it to me. And then that's when it clicked, like, "Oh, I'm funny." I was like, "Oh, that's what I'm doing." I knew I was doing something. I've always seen the joke in everything kind of instantly, like the little math problem. If somebody says this, then everybody else says this, but I'm going to say this thing. That's the punchline. Somebody said a setup, and just naturally, the punchline would come out.
Yes. What are some of the earliest funny things that you still think are funny or that people still love to hear?
Some of the earliest funny things that I said,
Mhm.
people love to hear. I don't know if people love to hear it, but
That you
one of
love
the
to
earliest,
remember?
well, yeah, I like to remember this. One of the earliest times I remember being funny was I was in McDonald's, and I was just a little guy, could probably barely really talk. And I was wearing some shorts that didn't have any pockets. And I remember like pretending to stick my hands in my pockets and missing them, and going, "Hey, where's my pockets? Somebody stole my pockets." And like, and the grown-ups were laughing like, "Oh, look, he says somebody stole his pockets." And I'm like, "Yep, I can't find my pockets. Isn't that crazy?" Like, and like I totally got it. I knew I didn't have pockets, and I was just making the joke. And I remember the grown-ups being so impressed with like, "Oh,
Oh,
this kid's funny."
that's
Like,
so
that's right,
cool.
I am funny.
Did
Who's gonna buy me a Happy Meal? Yeah. I gotta turn this funny into something tangible.
so did people come along in your life and say you should get up on stage, or did you come up with that yourself, and why?
Um, well, I think that first started to happen when I was in the military, when I was in the Marines. I
The Marines is
I got
where everything got funny.
yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of part of my act on my album High and Tight. I point out a lot of that as soon as I got in the military, like the hardest part about it for me was being so serious. Everyone expected you to have this, what do they call it? Military bearing. You have to maintain your military bearing. Yeah, you have to. Nobody's smiling in their Marine Corps picture, you know. Nobody's got a big grin on their face. They're like, you can't smile in this picture. I'm like, but this is hilarious. Like you put a Velcro uniform on me, but like they put this fake uniform on us for the picture. So I got in a lot of trouble with my laughing and making other people laugh and always having to say the punchline, which there were so many constant opportunities in the Marines, you know, so many rhetorical questions that I just had to answer. So, you know, like, any questions? I'm like, yeah, I got some questions. They're like, no questions. I'm like, no, but I got some for sure. But so one time, you know, and I also had a drinking problem back then too that went along with it, which is why I joined the Marines and not the Air Force, because I thought the Marines were drinkers. You know, my family couldn't afford college, so I wanted to join, you know, a fraternity of Marines, basically. So that's how I viewed it. It was like being in college. But I drank way too much and way more than the other Marines. They actually sent me to rehab. I went to military rehab. Where, yeah, the Marine Corps was like, "Hey, you drink too much," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wow." Then I win something, right? What do I get? Like, oh my God. They didn't quite see it that way, but so I got in a lot of trouble. I had been busted down. I had lost rank 3 times at this point. I was about 2 years in, and I was making everybody laugh in the shop one day. I was a helicopter mechanic, and my Sergeant Santi Esteban, he liked me. You know, he was one of the guys that liked me. There were some guys that were out to get me. You know, they sensed weakness. You know, a lot of, not in my Marine Corps. You know, we got to get this guy out of here. But there were a lot of other ones that saw potential in me. And Sergeant Santi, he was one. But he was kind of frustrated with me because he was trying to give a big serious talk, and I was making the jokes and getting everybody off topic. So he was going to write me up, and you know, I went to him and I was like, Sergeant Santi, if you write me up one more time, you know, if I get one more thing, you know, they might really kick me out. Like, and he's like, well, I don't want that. I think that you can make a good Marine if you can, you know, get a few things under control. He's like, we got to harness this energy that you have. So he's like, I'm going to come up with something besides writing you up. And then he heard about, it was right around Christmas time. And every year we had a squadron Christmas party. It was like mandatory fun. Everybody had to be there. And it was, and they always had a talent show where, you know, it was so bad. People would play the flute or do a poem. And it was like this horrible thing we all had to sit through. And he's like, all right, funny guy, I signed you up for the squadron Christmas party talent show. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? He said, well, you like to be funny, so I signed you up as a comedian. So you got to do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy. And I was like, whoa, like that's very creative. So I had about a week to prepare. So I just wrote roast jokes. I roasted my whole chain of command one by one, all the way from Sergeant Santi, all the way to the commanding officer, who was the judge of the talent show. And it just killed. Everybody just couldn't believe. And I was a private, you know, I was just gotten busted down to private like a couple months before. Everybody knew it. And they were like, here's this private, you know, and I was just like, hey, what do I got to lose? Like, there's no rank lower than private. So I'm going to say this stuff. And I just roasted everybody, and it was an uproar. And I won the thing. I won the whole thing. I won $100. And that was the first time I'd ever really performed it. And after that, some other Marines came to me and said, hey, there's this comedian who's a Marine. His name's Bobby Law. He's been on BET Comic View. He's a drill instructor down at MCRD. And we spoke to him about you. And they said, he wants to hear a tape. He said, send him a tape. And I didn't know what send a tape meant. So you know what I did?
Got
I
some
I
scotch
made him
tape.
I made him an audio cassette tape of me just in the barracks with no audience, just me telling jokes
Oh,
onto a tape recorder and sent it to him. And of course, I never heard anything back because he probably laughed and was like, "This guy ever sent me a tape, like a cassette tape." um, but then I got out after I got out of the Marines in 2003. Just a few years after that, I started work as a helicopter mechanic. I continued my work as a helicopter mechanic, but as a civilian on a military base, still working on the same helicopters, but I was with the DoD, and just around the lunch table, that was one of my favorite times. Just making everybody laugh, and that's when a lot of people started saying, "You should really be a comedian. You should try it." And I was like, "I would, but like, where do you go? What do you do?" Like I made a tape one time and nothing happened. Like I had no idea, as we all do when we're starting, like what is the first step?
yes.
I didn't know about open mics or anything like that. And somebody found in the newspaper, the San Diego newspaper, that the Comedy Store in La Jolla was doing a stand-up comedy workshop. It said, learn the skills to be a stand-up comedian. And so I took the class. It was taught by Pauly Shore's older sister, Sandy Shore. So I thought, wow, well, then she must know how to do it. But, I found out halfway through the class that she had never really done stand-up. She just grew up around the Comedy Store. Mitzi Shore is her mother and Pauly's mother, and she owns the Comedy Store. So she did have an intimate knowledge of it, but she hadn't really performed it. But I was able to come up with an act of sorts, and we did a showcase, and all my coworkers came and my family came, and I did, I think, 18 minutes or something,
What? Wow.
which was way more than she wanted me to do. But I was like, man, I just paid $400 for this class. I'm going to do however much I want. But that's what got me started. And throughout the class, I learned about open mics, and I just got started, and I talked to other comics. I just asked as many questions as I could. I said, what do I, like we all do, like, what do I do? How do I get good? And I'd go ask, I'd see somebody be funny and be like, how'd you do that? And, often the answer was just, get up on stage as much as you can, go to every open mic. So I did 3 to 7 open mics a week. I did poetry slams. I would go in and everywhere and just do comedy. I'd go to karaoke and request like an a cappella song so I could have 3 minutes.
That's so cool.
They hated it, and they were like, you can't come back and keep doing that. But I tried everything. And yeah, just the comedy bug bit me. I started learning the process of, eliminating words and changing every little thing, maybe pause longer, maybe say this different word, maybe that'll hit harder, and I love that about it. I love the mechanics, the nuts and bolts of stand-up. I love that it's not easy. And along the way, stand-up became like a self-help program for myself. It forces you to better yourself. It builds confidence, and it also forces you to be introspective and to look at yourself. It made me realize that if I was going to be able to see what's funny in the world, I had to see, if I was going to train my brain to find, that's how we see jokes in the world, is something's wrong, something's off there. That's funny. What is that? I have to be able to see what's wrong in me and what's off in me. And that's what makes audiences relate to you, is because when you can demonstrate your vulnerability. Some comics go up there and try to act really cool, and it works for some people. But for me, my style was to be honest and vulnerable. And I joked about myself and my own weaknesses and my own shortcomings. And the few years in, about 5-6 years in, I started to really find my voice and not have to write jokes so much. I was able to just go on stage and with an idea and just speak about it. And that's when I started telling the stories of my military failures, because it was like a dark secret for me. I was not proud of myself. I had just barely gotten out under honorable conditions, really, just barely. I wasn't the best Marine around, for sure. I mean, by most standards, and I wasn't proud of it. But one day, a very funny comedian from San Diego named Jesse Egan was at one of my shows. I was at a bar doing a show, and there was hardly anyone there. And he had gone before me, and I was headlining. So I had 30 or 40 minutes to fill. And it was basically only comics there that I knew, and they had seen my act a bunch of times. So I was like, I'm not going to do my act again. You've all heard it. So like, what do you want to talk about? And Jesse said, why don't you tell some military stories? You were in the Marines, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't think you want to hear this, but and I just started telling these stories, and they were laughing so hard, and it made me realize, like, oh, yeah, vulnerabilities, weaknesses. Oh, well, I can do an hour on this. I mean, and it just started coming out like, hey, I got a boner in boot camp one day, and everybody had to do push-ups until it went away. We used to sing Marine Corps, and I would say cream corn, and all of these became bits that made it onto my album. The stories from Iraq, and just all of the goofing off we did. War stories, and just all kinds of stuff.
My favorite thing about you, other than your military, is that you've done military tours. So would you mind speaking about how to make a military tour funny when you're doing the comedy for them, and how to make it relatable after the fact? Because many people in the audience haven't been military, don't know the first thing about military, but you make it funny.
Oh man, you asked really great questions.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I had always been aware of that if I was going to tell these stories, that I had to not use so much jargon. There's a lot of acronyms that we just use in the military that civilians are not always privy to. So I just did a good job of explaining all of that as I went. I say I did a good job. It was trial and error. I would always record every show, either audio and video when possible. And I would always go home and face the music, Even we egomaniac comedians don't really like to watch ourselves do comedy. A normal person can relate to, like, I always say, have you ever heard a recording of your voice and you're like, oh my God, is that what my voice sounds like? Well, it's even worse when you're in a spotlight and there's high def video, and I'm like, is that what my face looks like when I do that? Like, what an idiot. But we have to do that homework, and we have to make those observations so that we can change them. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to stop doing that with my face when I say that word, or I need to stop rocking back and forth looking nervous. Why am I holding the mic like that? That looks stupid. And like, why am I using all those acronyms? When you're on stage, you don't hear everything that the audience is saying, and sometimes the camera is in the back of the room and it'll pick up some little noises like like the audience would be like, what does he mean by that? Some of that table talk. I would pay attention to all of that and just try to be cognizant of like, okay, they didn't understand that, so I need to kind of explain that. And you can make it very palatable, and that's one of my favorite compliments that I get after the shows is, a lot of people will say, I saw that you were like a military guy and you got all this military material, and I was afraid that I wouldn't really get it, but wow, I mean, you really opened my eyes to, like, it was a nice little peek inside of what it might be like. I always wondered, what if I joined the military? What would it, how would I do? Would I enjoy it? You know, and that's kind of what am trying to explain, you know, because I talk about feeling like, oh my God, did I make a wrong choice here? Am I going to be able to cut it? And being able to, you know, that the military for me, like boot camp, was such an amazing experience. A lot of people hated it, but I think it was my favorite part. Those
Me
first 3 months,
too.
Marine Corps boot camp, when you're every day tested to the maximum of your mental abilities, how much mental stress can I withstand? And at the end of the day, I would just lay in my rack in my bed and just think, wow, I got through all of that stuff today. I
Wow.
can't believe I made it through mentally and physically. I can't believe I climbed that rope all the way up or climbed over that wall. I can't believe I ran 7 miles today. Like 7 miles. And I was not tired. Like I wanted to run more. You know, I couldn't believe it. And it just built this confidence in me that
Wow.
that was amazing. And that's what I like to do, is just kind of give people a firsthand view of, you know, what that was like.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I was soaking it up while you were saying it because, I keep trying to dig deeper into the stories of my life. And, like one of the stories in my life is being raised by parents who survived the Holocaust and were kind of out to lunch the whole time. How do you make that funny? A lot of people don't even think the Holocaust existed, so you lose them right out of. So I'm still searching for ways to make really big things in my life funny or funnier, or, like I might have a joke and I'll hit it and get off of it, but to turn it into a story, I've avoided some of that.
Yeah, well, you can definitely make it work. You can. I mean, may, maybe it might not be so relatable because that's a very unique upbringing, but it's certainly interesting. Like that's an attention getter, I would think.
You
Um,
think?
I
Like
mean,
I,
but you could, but to make it relatable, everybody is raised by crazy people. I mean, from their own point of view, everybody is raised by an extreme version of something. I mean, we all kind of have that feeling anyway. It feels that way when, I mean, my kids think I'm an insane person. My kids, for some reason, don't trust me about anything. Like, like right now, my 9-year-old son, I'm like, hey, we're going to go to a birthday party. This was last weekend. We're going to go to a birthday party at a roller skating rink. And he's like, oh, that sounds dumb. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What? You like cake, right? There's going to be cake and ice cream. Your friends are going to be there. You see your cousins. But roller skating is for girls. I'm like, trust me, Lincoln, it's not. It's for boys and girls. And you're going to have a lot of fun. I mean, and we had a big fight. And I almost didn't even let him go. He was being so ungrateful.
oh
And
my
we go
God.
through it every time. And then at the end of the day, he's like, oh, Dad, thank you. That was so much fun. I'm like, I know. Why didn't you just trust me from the beginning? Like, I remember being that way with my parents. Like, I just thought they were so stupid. And now I'm 44, and I look back and realize they were very smart. You know, I don't know why young people don't want to look to our elders who've been there and
Yes.
ask for advice. I mean, we have shortcuts.
We could save them a lot of trouble if they just listen.
They want the trouble. They like the trouble. I did. I wanted to make my own. I wanted, well, Dad, you got to make those mistakes. And I've heard some of the stories, sounded kind of fun. You know, I was like, I want to go to AA meetings someday and tell awesome stories. I used to go
Oh,
to AA meetings with my dad and just sit in the corner and listen to these broken people tell these stories, and it was like they were trying to one up each other. You know, there were some awesome stories.
Like, you think that's something, I got something to tell you. And the stories just
You want
keep
to hear some
getting.
stories? Go to an AA meeting when the topic is rock bottoms, and everybody wants to tell their rock bottom story. Oh yeah, well I hit my rock bottom on August 14th, 1979. Like they know the date. Oh man, it's like they love to tell the story.
Oh my
I
gosh.
set my child on fire. It's like, what? Holy crap. All right, maybe I don't have a drinking problem, man. This guy's out of control.
It was
Like, I've
my
been
wife's
listening
fault.
like
She named him Flambeau.
right. Yeah, I told him to quit playing with my gasoline, and he didn't want to listen. Like, wow, man.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
You said you like dark humor, so.
yeah, I do. I love it so much. Oh my gosh. Like, there's just not enough time for dark humor or puns. I love puns, and I know
I love puns.
Do you?
Oh yeah, now that I'm a dad, I'm so into the dad jokes and the corny stuff that my dad used to do, and I love making my kids roll their eyes and make that noise that oh. I'm like, yes, that's like killing for me.
It just spurs me on to tell more.
Oh, I love it. My son is always, my 9-year-old, he's like, Dad, can I play on your phone? And he does it every time. And every time I say, no, you're too heavy, you'll break it. Dad, come on. I'm like, you can't play on my phone. I'll like lay it on the floor and be like, there you go, play on it.
My mother used to say, go pick up your room. And I'm like, it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Stupid. Oh gosh.
So dumb.
Yes.
And great
I
at the
just,
same
I love like if I could be a writer, if I could, take a DeLorean back in time and be a writer for that game show with Paul Lynde. And hi, here he
It
is,
worked.
Erik Knowles, really now. If I could be a writer with smart aleck answers to stupid questions, oh my gosh. Have you read those books? Snappy Answers to Stupid Questions?
No.
There's a book, like they put out books, and I just think that was so hilarious to come up with stupid answers.
Snappy answers?
Yeah, snappy answers to stupid questions. It's really great.
Oh man, they should make a game show out of that.
Yes, yes, I love that.
We should produce that. Let's do that. That's
okay. Let's do it. We can do it.
Stupid
I'll
questions.
have to get more prom
Erik
gowns.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So tell everybody where you're going to be performing and all your social media.
Okay.
Okay.
2 weeks from now, I'll be at the Oklahoma City Looney Bin, September 15th through 18th, Thursday through Saturday. And then the following weekend, which is, I don't know the numbers, but the following Thursday through Saturday, I'm at the Looney Bin in Little Rock, Arkansas. And they can get their tickets at the looneybincomedy.com probably. Just Google it. Google Looney Bin, Erik Knowles, you'll find it. My socials, I'm on all the new stuff now. It's my name, Erik Knowles. Just look, I don't know how, I'm really too old for it. Like I'm on Snapchat and I'm like, what is this gizmo? How do you, but you can snap me on there if you want. Snapchat me, send me a selfie and I'll awkwardly send one back. I think that's what Snapchat's for. I spend most of my time on Facebook because I'm this old, this is where we old people are.
I liked how everybody left Facebook because of the privacy problems. So they went to Instagram, which is owned by Facebook.
Right.
Like, good job.
and the Chinese company TikTok. It's like, yeah, let's I'm on TikTok too.
Yes.
Just wandering around like an old guy looking for the exit. Like, how do you get out of here? Like I'm like I'm lost in a IKEA.
It doesn't come with directions how to get out. Even if it did, you couldn't figure it out.
Get out of here. All right. Are we unmuted? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we're good now. It'd be funny to get directions from IKEA how to get out, and you could never figure it out. You just, where's Eric? He went to IKEA.
Yeah, it's like they'd give you a map, but it's in 40 pieces and you got to put it together yourself. The instructions are in Icelandic or wherever they're from.
Oh my gosh. So you're all over with your name, and you're going to be at a couple loony bins coming up, and look at the loony bin website and get tickets to see Erik
And
Knowles.
that's really like the only thing I got going is these last 2 dates. I've kind of slowed down on my stand-up right now. I'm going through a little transition in my life. I'm taking a break. I'm going to come back stronger than ever with a whole bunch of new material at some point.
Wonderful. That's really good news.
So these are your last 2 chances to see me, September 15th or 18th in Oklahoma City, and then the following weekend in Little Rock.
I just wanted to do a dad joke for your children.
Oh, okay. You were leaning in. It looked like you were trying to kiss me. You got excited.
I'm not transitioning, but these lenses are.
Ah, okay.
They're supposed to be. I got to get them checked. This is supposed to make them transition or make me blind. I don't know which. These glasses, I got them this week. They're not working like they're supposed to.
What are they supposed to do? What does transition
They're
mean?
transition lenses. They turn dark in the sunlight. So these are supposed to turn dark, and they're not doing their job. I want my money back, but I got them for free at the VA.
Well, that's your problem.
These are rejects. Oh, well. That was my transition joke.
Gotcha.
I'm trying.
I liked it. Okay. It kind of works.
I'm sure the LGBTQ community would approve.
That's where I thought you were going with your transition joke. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, this has been a riot. Thank you so much. You have a lovely steering wheel.
Thank you for noticing. That's why I put it right here in the front so everybody could see it. I didn't know if that was too obvious. This is my favorite part of the car right here.
I like the part where we couldn't see you, but we could hear. Sorry?
Said I was going to put my gear shifter sticking up right here, but I thought that might be too forward.
Yeah, on the first date. It might scare us.
Yeah. Maybe on the next interview.
Yes. I was wondering, like, when we were going through the interview and we had the part where we couldn't see you, but we could hear you. I was like, I thought, boomers were supposed to be seen and not heard. So that you were just proving you weren't a boomer.
No, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm not a boomer.
Because you were being heard but not seen.
Yeah.
It's a joke, One of these days it will be a joke. Just wait.
Yeah. Go back and watch the video of this later and figure out what you got to change there.
Everything. Thank you so much, Erik Knowles. Love you lots.
Thank you.
Bye.